Today is Tuesday, March 18th. We're talking about a fragile ceasefire breaking down in Gaza, just as President Trump works to cement a new one in Ukraine. Also, what to expect from the next round of storms, while some wonder if government cuts could impact weather forecasts. Plus, more students now qualify for free tuition at elite universities. Newspapers, celebrities, and tech companies are all hoping to influence new AI laws. And Taylor Swift made a new announcement and may have hinted at another. Those stories and even more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. We've never been closer to peace than at this moment. That's at least the message from the White House ahead of a highly anticipated talk between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two leaders have a call scheduled this morning about ending Russia's invasion of Ukraine, at least temporarily. Trump says a lot of work has already been done ahead of time, that his team has spoken with both Ukraine and Russia about dividing up assets like land and power plants. Remember, Ukraine already agreed to a 30-day ceasefire the U.S. proposed, but Russia has a long list of conditions it wants met first, like it wants Ukraine to recognize occupied territories as part of Russia. And Ukraine says that and some of Russia's other demands are red lines that cannot be crossed. Still, Trump is saying he's confident a deal is within reach. Meanwhile, Western allies other than the U.S., like the UK, Canada, Australia, and most of the European Union, have been considering sending tens of thousands of peacekeeping troops into Ukraine. They're set to meet later this week to talk details. The ceasefire in Gaza is now effectively over. Overnight, Israel launched the first major strikes over the Strip since a truce started about 2 months ago and said more would be coming. The Israeli military says it targeted Hamas militants and terrorist infrastructure, but the Gaza Health Ministry says hundreds of Palestinians were killed, including children. In response, Hamas accused Israel of overturning the agreement and called the airstrikes a death sentence for the remaining hostages. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office explained, saying the decision was only made because Hamas was refusing to release those hostages and rejected all peace proposals made by mediators like the U.S. So with that, Israel has said the attacks will only get stronger and won't be confined to the air. The White House backed Netanyahu's decision. The U.S. military has sent a powerful Navy destroyer on an unusual mission to the southern border. The USS Gravely is on its way now. The same warship was recently used in the Middle East to shoot down missiles in the Red Sea. Now its focus is the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Defense officials have not said where exactly Gravely is going, just that it will operate in both domestic and international waters. It's actually just the latest example of the Trump administration using the U.S. military to fend off what President Trump calls an invasion at the border. Thousands of active duty troops have also been deployed to the southern border. And the Trump administration is developing plans to build immigration detention facilities on U.S. military bases. There has been pushback, including from Mexican officials who say any violation of Mexico's territory, even in the sea, would be unacceptable. So, to be continued. Now that more than 200 Venezuelan migrants have arrived at a Salvadorian prison, a federal judge is demanding the Trump administration explain itself, while the Trump administration is calling for that judge to be removed. As we told you yesterday, the judge had given an order telling officials not to deport alleged gang members, despite President Trump saying he could using a wartime law. And when a government lawyer told the judge flights were already in the air, he said to turn those planes around. But that didn't actually happen. So the judge questioned government lawyers about it during a court hearing that was just called yesterday. And they defended themselves, but the judge ordered Trump officials to issue a sworn declaration by noon today, saying no one was deported under the wartime law after his original order. He wants to know when flights left, where they were going, when they left U.S. airspace, and so on. Well, now the Trump administration is calling for that judge to be removed. Government lawyers are accusing him of micromanaging the case and overstepping his authority by asking they answer questions of national security and foreign relations in his court. President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, told Fox News, quote, "We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think." The Justice Department is also asking an appeals court to overturn the judge's order. A ruling is expected from that court later this week. There's been a lot of scrutiny over thousands of job cuts at the federal agency NOAA. The New York Times reports because of mass layoffs, many key functions are impacted, like predicting tornadoes and hurricanes. The National Weather Service confirmed it's had to cut back on some of its services, like routine weather balloon launches that have been considered crucial for making accurate forecasts. And that stood out especially this week, since people across several states were impacted by severe weather and saw firsthand the importance of timely, accurate forecasts. But for now, the National Weather Service says it's still dedicated to its mission of getting Americans information and resources they need when they need it. Either way, this all comes in the height of the spring severe weather season. In just the last week, a giant cross-country storm unleashed rain, snow, hail, wind, fire, and tornadoes. As of this morning, the death count is up to 42 people across 7 states. The full extent of the damage may not be known for days. Meanwhile, Americans are eyeing another storm moving in. Today, heavy snow is expected across parts of the Rockies and the Plains. And tomorrow, the risk of severe weather will run from the Great Lakes to the northern shores of the Gulf. More news ahead, but first, I want to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor. You know that feeling when you get home from a long day and immediately want to change into comfy clothes? With Honeylove, it doesn't have to be that way. Everything from their shapewear and bras to their leggings and tanks are designed to be comfortable and functional. Whether I'm in the Honeylove Legging 2.0, which I adore for its soft, breathable fabric, stylish look, and convenient pockets, and wear for working from home, working out, and running errands, or I'm heading to a special event when Honeylove is my go-to for shapewear, giving me support, confidence, and comfort all in one without ever rolling up or down. Or I need new everyday essentials that I'll actually be willing and wanting to wear. Honeylove has me covered and keeps me comfortable. So treat yourself to the most comfortable bras, leggings, shapewear, and more, and save 20% off site-wide at honeylove.com/newsworthy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/newsworthy. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Treat yourself to Honeylove because you deserve it. Now back to the news. It's about to be a little easier for college students to go to Harvard, assuming they get in. The Ivy League university announced plans to offer free tuition for students whose families make $200,000 a year or less. That's a huge change since before now, the same offer only applied for families with incomes under $85,000. And going to Harvard without any tuition help will set you back $83,000 a year. This change just makes Harvard the latest elite school to expand financial aid in an effort to increase diversity, now that they're not allowed to use affirmative action. Others that have made the same move include MIT, Caltech, Dartmouth, and the University of Pennsylvania. Harvard's plan with the new income cap takes effect starting this fall. For the second time in 6 years, the fast fashion staple Forever 21 has filed for bankruptcy. This time it plans to shut down hundreds of stores. It's hoping to find a buyer for the rest of them, though it's possible they all go out of business if no deal is reached. Since most stores are inside malls, the retailer says it's struggling with dwindling foot traffic and online competition. And Forever 21 certainly is not alone in that. As shopping habits have evolved, more and more businesses have gone bankrupt. And last year, more than 7,300 retail stores shut their doors. It seems everyone is hoping to shape the Trump administration's artificial intelligence policy. The White House set a deadline of this past weekend for comments on its AI action plan. And a lot of companies and groups made their comments public. Most made it clear they don't want too much regulation. For example, OpenAI and Google requested looser copyright restrictions, saying they should be able to train on publicly available data, whether that data is copyrighted or not. And that means not getting permission or compensating rights holders. In the past, they've also cited the fair use doctrine that allows for copyrighted material to be used for certain purposes like research, news, and education. While the Trump administration has not responded just yet, but celebrities have. More than 400 Hollywood creative leaders signed an open letter urging the White House not to roll back copyright protections. We're talking people like Ron Howard, Paul McCartney, and Bette Midler. They say allowing AI companies to work around copyrights would undermine their work and weaken an industry that only thrives because copyright rewards creativity. Dozens of newspapers are also running online editorials today, slamming big tech's requests. But again, there's no set policy yet. And until Congress or the courts rule on the issue, the debate continues. The dating app Bumble has a new feature that could help prevent catfishing in a time when AI has made it harder than ever to tell who is real or fake. ID verification requests a government-issued ID to confirm a person's age and name, then adds a badge to their profile letting everyone know they are who they say they are. Users can also filter profiles so they see only those that have been verified. And that's just one of a few safety features that came out this week. Another is called Review Before You Send. As the name suggests, it encourages people to revise flagged messages before they're sent. The company also added a share date feature that lets people share details about their dates with select contacts. Tinder already offers similar features, but now they're all live on Bumble as well. Some of the biggest names in music who were shut out at last month's Grammy Awards were honored at last night's iHeartRadio Music Awards. For example, Benson Boone won Song of the Year for Beautiful Things. Billie Eilish won Album of the Year for Hit Me Hard and Soft. and Gracie Abrams won Breakthrough Artist of the Year, categories that went to Kendrick Lamar, Beyoncé, and Chappell Roan last month. In a category that's unique to iHeart, Taylor Swift's record-breaking Eras Tour was named Tour of the Century. She accepted in a pre-recorded message, then introduced a recorded performance from her very first stop on the Eras Tour exactly 2 years ago. Swift sparked some speculation, too, since she wore a snake necklace for her speech. She's made the snake the unofficial mascot of her Reputation album, so fans think this could mean a new version is coming out soon. Mariah Carey also won the Icon Award last night, and she quickly went viral with her acceptance speech where she took a moment to make sure the lighting was okay, then asked the audience if they liked her outfit and twirled for everyone to see. By the way, speaking of award shows, comedian Conan O'Brien will be back to host next year's Academy Awards. It comes on the heels of his first hosting gig this year that attracted the highest ratings for an Oscars telecast in 5 years and rave reviews. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I really do think therapy should be accessible, not just a luxury. But the reality is, traditional in-person therapy can cost a lot, $100 to $250 per session, which adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save, on average, up to 50% per session. In fact, you pay just a flat fee for weekly sessions at a price that makes sense. And if it can help with things like anxiety or even everyday stress, isn't it worth it? I think so. BetterHelp ensures therapy is within reach. For me, my health, both mental and physical, is important enough that it's worth investing in. So just like I pay to go to workout classes weekly, I pay for therapy. And if you're looking for a convenient, affordable option that lets you fit therapy into a busy life, give BetterHelp a try. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/newsworthy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/newsworthy. Now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, what animal gains up to 10 pounds an hour as a baby? You can play along with us in our weekly roundup email that comes out each Friday. As for last week's trivia question, what is the only ancient wonder of the world still standing? The answer is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was built about 4,500 years ago as a grand tomb for an Egyptian pharaoh. And still today, people are debating how humans, without any modern construction equipment, could have built one of the largest and most resilient structures the world has ever seen. The other 6 wonders, like the statue of Zeus at Olympia and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, have fallen, either to war, fire, or natural disaster. And almost everything we know about them today comes from ancient texts. Still, all of the 7 wonders tell stories of how ancient civilizations left their marks on the world and the culture for thousands of years. Thank you so much for joining us to get caught up on the news. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest to know. Until then, have a great day.